Merlin's voice kicks things off. He sounds ancient and calm, but there's urgency underneath. He's talking about a king destined to unite a fractured land and a looming darkness set against him. Merlin isn't just the wise old man in the background, he's Arthur's protector, sent to watch over him. To understand what's really at stake, Merlin insists we need to go back to the beginning. We're taken to 4th century Britain. Along a quiet river, Elphin, a young man with a reputation for bad luck, checks the fishing traps at his father's request, hoping to finally prove himself. He waits for hours, catching nothing, and disappointment sets in. At the last moment, he pulls up a heavy leather bag. Inside is a dead infant. It seems hopeless, but suddenly the baby breathes, a miracle. A druid watching nearby calls the child a blessing, destined to become a great bard whose voice will bring about a kingdom of summer. Elphin, overwhelmed by the moment, takes the baby as his own and names him Taliesin. The story jumps to Atlantis, not the legend but a thriving, real civilization. Caris, a princess and champion bull dancer, prepares for a sacred performance, praying to the horned god Bel for protection. But things spiral out of control. The horned god appears, not as a vision but as a terrifying white bull. The earth trembles, volcanoes erupt, and Atlantis is destroyed. Caris barely survives as her world collapses around her. 20 years pass. Taliesin grows into a powerful bard and druid, gifted with visions. In an ancient stone circle, he faces the horned god, who tries to seduce him with offers of power if he'll spill blood. Taliesin refuses, questioning why he's caught in the gods' conflict. Hafgun, a friend and fellow druid, arrives with grim news. Elfin's kingdom is under attack by barbarians, the Romans have left and the people are fleeing. Taliesin and Hafgun fight bravely with their magic, but it's not enough, they're forced to escape. They head to the Summerlands, a new kingdom ruled by Atlantean refugees. King Avallac'h is there with his daughters, Caris and Morgaine. The land is beautiful but marked by loss. When Elfin's people arrive, tensions rise as the two kings eye each other warily. Amid all this, Taliesin and Caris notice each other. There's chemistry born out of shared tragedy. Caris is haunted by the memory of Atlantis, while Taliesin represents a world that's gone. Flashbacks reveal more of Caris's escape from Atlantis. She faced the horned god in the arena as the city fell, surviving only because the bull was defeated. In the present, Morgaine sees Taliesin as a potential path to power. When a mare struggles to give birth and Morgaine can't help, Taliesin quietly works his magic and saves the foal, impressing even her. Still hurting from Caris's rejection and torn between past and present, Taliesin leaves the castle. He finds Christian monks rebuilding a small, sacred hut. Inside, he's overwhelmed by a blinding, pure light, completely unlike the horned god's darkness. The encounter leaves him collapsed and burned, face to face with the power of the one true god. Taliesin is left badly injured after a blast of divine light, reciting mysterious scripture as he barely regains consciousness. King Elphin urgently wakes him. They need to leave, but there's a dilemma. King Avallac'h has offered them land in the Summerlands, but only if Elfin's people serve as bodyguards for Atlantean refugees. Elphin is offended, feeling his warriors are being treated like hired swords. Before departing, Taliesin sneaks away for a final farewell with Caris. In the stable, he's about to kiss her when he realizes it's actually Morgaine, her sister, disguised by magic. Morgaine pleads with Taliesin to marry her and rule together, but he refuses, drawing a firm line between her bloodthirsty gods and his god of sacrificial love. Meanwhile, Caris is ambushed by Irish raiders in the woods. She fights bravely, but is nearly overcome until Taliesin arrives just in time to save her. Shaken, Taliesin confesses his love and proposes. Caris is unsure at first but agrees, deciding to seize their only chance at happiness. Their fathers are far from supportive. Avallac'h is appalled at the idea of his daughter marrying a Briton, and Elfin's men are angry about being treated as laborers, some even wanting to fight the Atlanteans. Though Taliesin calms the situation, the tension remains high. When Caris tries to escape, Morgaine betrays her, despite Caris having once saved Morgaine's life. Out of jealousy, Morgaine ensures Caris is locked away until the Britons leave. Taliesin refuses to abandon Caris. He sneaks into the palace and helps her escape. Before leaving, Caris gives him an Atlantean sword intended for her father. Taliesin can read the runes on it, something only the fair folk are supposed to do. They leave the sword as a sign for Avallac'h, promising to return if there's ever peace. Taliesin insists on marrying Caris before anything else. Nervous but trusting, she agrees, and they're quietly baptized and wed in a Christian ceremony. They flee to King Pendragon's city, where a priest related to Pendragon marries them. Along the way, they rescue an injured Merlin bird. When they arrive, Pendragon's priest accuses Taliesin of blasphemy, but Taliesin silences him with a word. When the king's men attack, Taliesin's song subdues them, impressing Pendragon so much that he offers them protection. Months later, Caris is pregnant and goes into labor in the mountains, but the baby is breech and lifeless. As Taliesin prays desperately, news arrives that Avalanche and Elphin have made peace, symbolized by the return of the Atlantean sword. Miraculously, Taliesin's prayers are answered. Their baby boy revives, his eyes shining like the Merlin birds. But before they can rejoice, Taliesin is struck by an arrow fired by Morgaine. The story abruptly jumps forward 75 years, where an elderly Merlin, Taliesin's son, is hiding in the woods, setting up the next chapter. It's been 75 years since we last saw the forest, but its secrets are as deep as ever. Suddenly, a ragged, desperate man crashes through the trees, Merlin running for his life. Despite his fear, he's alert, but he doesn't get far before a warrior named Pelias catches him and drags him to a local lord. Merlin immediately draws attention. As soon as he speaks, it's clear he knows things he shouldn't. He sees straight through people, exposing their secrets. The court starts to whisper, he's no ordinary wanderer. Some think Pelias has brought back a ghost or one of the Fae. Merlin is soon brought before King Vortigern, Britain's so-called High King, who's facing a crisis. His fortress keeps collapsing, and his advisors blame dragons to hide their own incompetence. Merlin quietly investigates, discovers an underground spring causing the problem, and exposes the truth. Vortigern, furious, has his lying advisors executed, but Merlin sees the king's weaknesses, a coward hiding behind power. Before leaving, Merlin recognizes a prisoner, Dafydd, the priest who baptized his parents, who is shocked to see Merlin alive. Dafydd brings grim news. Merlin's father Hafgen and his old mentor King Elphin are long dead. The weight of centuries hits Merlin, but he pushes forward. Chaos erupts as Aurelius and his brother Uther attack the castle. In the confusion, Merlin demands freedom for Dafydd and the monks. With Pelias' help, they escape as Vortigern flees to his tower with his son, only to be killed by an arrow. Aurelius claims the throne as the fortress burns. Still pursued, Merlin and his group are saved when Aurelius calls off Uther's men. Aurelius recognizes Merlin and treats him with respect, handing him an ancient sword. Merlin has a vision. He sees the legendary sword of Britain, symbolizing the rise of the Summer Kingdom and the coming of Arthur. Guided by his instincts, Merlin leads his companions through familiar forest paths to a humble Christian hut, the place where his parents were married. Inside, time bends. Merlin finds his mother, Carys, unchanged by the years thanks to her Atlantean blood. They embrace, reuniting after a lifetime apart, while outside, the forest waits and destiny draws near. Pascent, son of Vortigern, is out for revenge. He's chasing down Hengist, the Saxon leader, demanding he honor an old blood oath. But Hengist is done with promises. He laughs off the past and sees the sons of Constance as enemies to destroy. Meanwhile, Merlin finally returns home to Unis Avalanche. There his mother Carys and his grandfather, King Avalanche, the Fisher King, are waiting, along with Aurelius and Uther. The mood is tense. Everyone senses that bigger troubles are coming. At dinner, they lay out their next moves. Merlin will ride out with Pelias and Uther to rally the lesser kings for Aurelius's cause, while Aurelius stays behind. Avalanche gives Merlin the Fisher King's ancient sword, but as soon as Merlin touches it, he's struck by a vision. He feels lost, unworthy, and separated from God. Admitting he can't bear the sword, Merlin's doubts remind everyone that power is more than just magic. On the road, things heat up quickly. Uther's suspicion of Merlin grows, and Lord Murig tries to turn him against Merlin by whispering that he's one of the Fae. Pelias steps in, and after a brief fight, Merlin freezes Uther with his magic to stop the chaos. Murig, intimidated, pledges loyalty to Aurelius. The group moves on to Morcant, Lord of the Belgae. Merlin makes it clear there's no room for refusal, and Morcant agrees to join them, further strengthening Aurelius's position. With each victory, Merlin's authority over both men and magic becomes more apparent. Back at Unis Avalanche, Aurelius hears grim news. The Atlantean people are dying out, with no children born since Merlin. Before they can process this, a Saxon raid is reported. Aurelius rides to defend the kingdom, and Carys follows, hiding her true intentions by pretending it's a casual outing. When Aurelius is nearly killed in battle, Carys and her warriors arrive just in time to save him, proving that courage and loyalty matter as much as strength. Elsewhere, Morgaine has embraced darkness. Now married to a minor king, she has two sons, one cruel, one pleading for peace with Aurelius. Morgaine refuses, bound by her pact with the Saxons. In a chilling moment, her elder son witnesses her summon a demon, confirming just how far she's fallen. Merlin feels the pressure building, hover every day. Word has spread among the tribal leaders about his true lineage. Atlantean mother Carys barred father Taliesin, and now every sideways glance feels dangerous. Whispers turn into threats. Just as the tension peaks, someone from his childhood shows up, tearing open old wounds and throwing Merlin even more off balance. He starts watching his back, wondering if he's really on the right path trying to unite Britain. The gidding voice he always relied on is suddenly distant. For maybe the first time, Merlin feels alone, uncertain, exposed. While Merlin is lost in doubt, the politics in Britain start to fall apart. Regional kings openly defy the Pendragon claim, telling Merlin and everyone else that Uth's blood alone doesn't guarantee the right to rule all of Britain. They demand strength, not just birthright, from any would-be leader. At a stormy gathering of warlords, the tension snaps. A northern king accuses Merlin of manipulating everything behind the scenes, pushing him to step forward and finally defend himself out loud. It's a messy, honest moment. After Rome's exit, these kings don't care for distant dreams or promises. They want a protector, someone who can stand against the Saxons and Picts right now. In the middle of this chaos, Arthur steps up. In what becomes the emotional center of the story, he lays out a different vision for Britain, a kind of leadership built on lasting unity, not conquest and bloodshed. He doesn't promise big, flashy victories, but something studder, a foundation meant to outlive any single king. Next to him, Uthka looks even more forceful and impatient. Where Uthka charges ahead, Arthur inspires confidence and pulls doubters toward him. Some leaders start to believe, though plenty still see in him just another man hungry for a throne. Later, Arthur sits down in secret talks with a rival king's envoy. Both want peace, neither can agree how to get it. The envoy hints maybe it's time for Britain to accept more than one ruler, with different kingdoms working together instead of bowing to one crown. Arthur listens, careful not to show his hand, leaving plenty of room for whatever may come. Let's rewind to Merlin's early days. He's living up in the wild with the hill folk, tough people cut off from the rest of the world. Merlin ends up under the wing of Jern Yfhan, a hard-edged mentor who isn't there to coddle him. Self-control, healing, discipline, that's what Jern Yfhan drills into him every day. One thing sticks with Merlin. Sometimes, no matter how hard you fight, you can't save everyone, and in the end, you're responsible for choosing your own path. Things take a sharp turn when Merlin meets Gannieda during a hunt. He trails after her all the way to a fortified city and finds out her father is King Custennin. Custennin's people, the Atlanteans, have been cut off from King Avalach since Atlantis fell. Both sides figured the others were gone for good. Merlin's arrival changes all that. He's the unexpected link between two lost worlds. As time goes on, Merlin earns the city's trust. He grows close to Gannieda, and more responsibility falls on his shoulders. He keeps Maridunum safe through threats and attacks, even stopping an ambush on the castle and showing everyone what he's made of. That earns him Custennin's respect. So much so, the king names Merlin his heir and charges him with protecting the people. A year drifts by. Merlin and Gannieda marry, and for once he feels settled. He finds family, real love, a place to belong. For a short, shining moment, he lets himself believe he's found peace. Then everything comes crashing down. Barbarian raiders strike without warning. They kill Gannieda and their unborn child. All that calm inside Merlin breaks. He hunts the attackers through the night, merciless, unstoppable. No one escapes his wrath. Even when the fighting ends, anger still blinds him. He nearly kills Custennin, lost in bloodlust and grief. That mistake leaves a mark between them, a shadow that never quite fades. Afterward, there's nothing left for Merlin. Everything he cared about is gone. The British army is on the brink. Their camp is restless, even the fires do little to warm the mood. 2,500 soldiers know they're about to face nearly 15,000 Saxons, and honestly, the numbers alone are terrifying. The kings who have come to fight under Aurelius don't even try to hide their fear. Every huddle around the fire sparks new arguments. Leaders question the wisdom of marching to war at all. Some point fingers at Aurelius. The whole alliance feels fragile. Other Pendragon, who's usually unshakable, can't hide his unease. He scans the distant hills, knowing the Saxons will pour over them any moment, and he says it out loud, what everybody is thinking. Unless something incredible happens, the Britons won't survive this. And the one man who could tip the scales, Merlin, is nowhere to be found. While the army fumbles toward what looks like its last stand, Merlin is somewhere else, fighting his own battle. The memory of his wife's death still chews at him. He remembers the fury, the power, and the slaughter that followed when he hunted down those responsible. That rage scares him now. He knows how close he came to letting darkness swallow him. That's when Morgan finds him. She moves in, all calm control, acting like she understands his burden. She tells him to stop resisting the darkness, claims he can end the Saxon threat with one terrible show of force. For her, power's simple. What matters is winning, not staying pure. Merlin says no. Still, her temptation rattles him. As this happens, the Saxon army finally moves. Their advance is a thing of dread, thousands marching as one, slow and disciplined. It's enough to make even the hardiest Britons flinch. The army braces. Aurelius stands before his men. He doesn't talk about glory. He talks about holding together, about surviving. His faith becomes the glue. Beside him, other is all fire and teeth, focused on the ugly business of battle. Aurelius is the heart, others the fist. The attack slams into the British line. Shields smash, the defense buckles. It's not long before things look hopeless. The Saxons finally crack. Their leader, Hengist, falls. When the dust settles, Aurelius rides in front of the battered British soldiers, Hengist's severed head high for all to see. It's grim, it's final. The Saxon threat is over. Aurelius hasn't just survived, he's earned the mantle of warrior king. Victory brings a reckoning. Everyone half expects other to claim the throne, but instead he kneels in front of the gathered kings. He offers his sword to Aurelius. That gesture settles it. Merlin steps forward and declares Aurelius High King. The prophecy isn't just a whisper now, it's becoming reality. The Pendragon legacy begins. Even so, peace is a mirage. The Saxons are beaten, but old tensions between the brothers linger, especially when it comes to Aegina. That shadow hasn't lifted. In the end, it's Merlin who stands apart. Aurelius wears the crown, but Merlin carries the heavier weight, the one who's expected to guide, protect, and see the dangers no one else can. The war isn't over. If anything, it's only just begun, and the hardest trials are still coming.